Hey, it doesn't matter if you're in a PPR league or a standard league. Wide receivers are important. So let's find out who we should start and sit for week one. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there. Today we're going to be talking about some wide receivers, some start sits from the wide receiver position. You may be feeling pretty good about some of these names, but do we start them week one? They may have tough matchups. Can we trust them? Let's find out. Let's talk about a few of them. Before we do, though, make sure you go ahead over to the RotoBaller channel after this show. Hit the subscribe button and the bell notifications. The live shows, the 1 hour before kickoff shows, they're coming this Sunday. You need any last-minute roster advice? That's where you need to be. Make sure that notification bell is on, though. You don't want to miss it when we go live. But for now, let's talk about some start sits for the wide receiver position. First guy I'm going to be talking about is going to be Golden Tate of the Detroit Lions. They're going to be at home against the Jets. And Golden Tate should see a ton of opportunity from the slot this year. You know, Kenny Galladay taking a step forward is really going to allow Tate to spend more time in the slot, which is where he belongs. It's where he's more productive from it. It's where he has the most upside. I mean, we could legitimately have close to 3 1,000-yard receivers in this offense. I mean, Matthew Stafford likes to throw the ball, and he's there to throw the ball. And Golden Tate is one of his favorite targets. Over the past 4 years, he's averaged over 90 catches and 1,000 yards. He's a safe play. And on week one, you don't want to take too many chances. Now, like I said, he's going to be lined up in the slot, and he's going to be going up against the likes of Buster Skrine and Morris Claiborne, who typically got torched last year, and it just leads to a better matchup for Golden Tate. Now, if you're worried about the whole Kenny Galladay thing and how much does he take away, don't worry about it that much. The Detroit Lions run more 3 wide receiver sets than any other team in the NFL. He's going to see plenty of opportunities. He's going to see plenty of targets. And I like him going up against these slot corners a lot better than I like him on the outside. I love Golden Tate week one. I'm starting him. Next up on the list is going to be Jarvis Landry of the Cleveland Browns, who are going to be at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Before I get into Jarvis Landry, though, I want to address something. I've gotten a ton of questions this week wanting to know if I like Laundry this week. To be realistic, I don't like Laundry any week. Now, Jarvis Landry, I do like this week. And I know it's an autocorrect issue, but if you ask me if I like Laundry, I'm going to tell you I don't, because I'm not going to lie to you about it. But back to Jarvis Landry. They're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, but does Le'Veon Bell play this week? We really don't know. And if Le'Veon Bell's not in that backfield and they don't have a successful running game in Pittsburgh, they're not running out the clock and they're throwing the ball more. Now, they do have Antonio Brown and Juju and James Washington. They have weapons, obviously, in that passing game. And if they're throwing it and putting up points on the board, that's causing, a ripple effect. Now Cleveland has to continue to throw the ball also. Now, Todd Haley is the offensive coordinator, now the Cleveland Browns. He has the familiarity with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's been there for a while. He knows what he needs to do in order to put up points against some of these guys, and he knows how they are on the offensive side of the football. It's also a possibility that Josh Gordon is either limited or sits this week. If that's the case, that's even more targets going Jarvis Landry's way, and he could easily see 10-plus targets in week one because they're trying to make a statement. They want this win in Cleveland. They're going to do whatever they need to win, and right now Jarvis Landry is their best opportunity. I can totally see some double-digit yargets for Jarvis Landry this week. Next start of the week is going to be Nelson Agholor of the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to be at home Thursday night against the Falcons, and Alshon Jeffrey's not playing in this game. I was told in the comment section of a video a few weeks ago that I needed to do my homework because I said that Alshon was going to miss a few games. Well, here we are. It's week one, and Alshon's going to miss a few games, so I guess I did my homework. I get the smiley face sticker for the day. But anyway, Wentz is not going to be playing in this game, right? We're still going with Nick Foles week one. Who was the favorite target of Nick Foles those first few weeks? It wasn't Zach Ertz. Now Alshon's not going to be there. It was Nelson Agholor. He averaged over 10 targets a game in 2017 with Nick Foles, and they're going to probably leave him in the slot. And if that's the case, this guy could get 10-plus targets easy in one of those high-powered offenses. They have one of the top offensive lines in football. And if they can continually run the ball successfully, that's going to bring more defenders in the box. What's going to happen when they bring more defenders in the box? That's more single coverage on the outside. And Nelson Agholor has the perfect opportunity to put up some big numbers, maybe even a touchdown or two here in week one. I love to start Nelson Agholor. Let's talk about a couple wide receiver sits now, and the first one we're going to talk about is having Crabs. And do we want Crabs? No, we don't. We're talking about Michael Crabtree, and we're going to sit him here in Week 1 at home against the Buffalo Bills. I get it. Buffalo doesn't have a whole lot of things going for him, but one thing they do have going for him is their top defensive back, Tre'Davious White, who was one of the highest-ranked defensive backs last year for 2017 as a rookie. The Bills' offense is somewhat inept and could struggle to score the ball. I can see a lot of ground and pound in this game, a lot of running on both sides of the ball, a lot of Shady McCoy, a lot of Alex Collins. Not a whole lot of throwing. Even if they were throwing, when is the last time Joe Flacco produced an elite receiver? It's been a while. I mean, Steve Smith had some decent years, but this is going to be one of those games where they have to run the ball. They're going to run the ball, and Michael Crabtree's not going to see a whole lot of targets. I'm sitting Michael Crabtree here in Week 1. Let's talk about a guy who's probably in a lineup in every single league this week. I'm going to talk about Mike Evans now and why we should sit him. Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be in New Orleans facing the Saints. He will more than likely be shadowed by Marshawn Lattimore, the Defensive Rookie of the Year from last year, and also one of the highest-rated cornerbacks in all of football. There's no Jameis Winston there. Ryan Fitzpatrick is there, and I don't know if you're willing to sacrifice your wide receiver 1 or 2, depending on what he is on your team, on the shoulder and gameplay of Ryan Fitzpatrick. And that's kind of iffy for Week 1. Chris Godwin is taking a step forward in that offense. Deshaun Jackson is still there. Who knows what's going to be happening to the run game in Tampa Bay? They may try to run the ball. But speaking of running the ball, that's something that New Orleans does really well. If they can get a lead, they have the possibility and the opportunity to run the clock out if need be in the second half. Mike Evans is going to be really big play dependent. He's going to need a long touchdown to save his week. And for me, that's too risky for Week 1. You got to start off Week 1 with a victory. I'm going to take the risk and sit Mike Evans. Let's talk about another big name who's probably in a starting lineup in almost every fantasy football league right now. Let's talk about T.Y. Hilton of the Indianapolis Colts, who are going to be at home against the Bengals. Now, this is going to be Andrew Luck's first real game in forever. And are we sold that he's 100% ready to go? I'm sure not. I know he's not 100% ready to go. What's going to happen the first time he takes a pancake sack and gets landed on by a dude that's the size of a Volkswagen? Is his shoulder going to hold up? I'm not sold on it yet. And if anything happens to Andrew Luck, T.Y. Hilton takes a huge hit in value. He's going to be covered by William Jackson of the Cincinnati Bengals. You probably have no idea who William Jackson is. But in the short amount of time that he played last year, he made a name for himself in the league. On 2 different occasions in 2 games, he lined up against Antonio Brown and didn't allow 1 reception. Now, he didn't cover him the entire game, but the kid is an up-and-coming defensive back that has elite skills. And he's probably going to take another step forward this year. The run game is non-existent in Indianapolis at this point. We don't even know who's starting for sure. So they can't use that as something to take the pressure off of Andrew Luck. The defense can focus on the pass. Luck's injury concerns and the pass rush of the Cincinnati Bengals is just cause for concern for me. Plus, Ryan Grant and Eric Ebron seem to be a focal point of that offense, which is weird to say Eric Ebron is a focal point of anything, but he seems to be. I'm just fading T.Y. Hilton for the week. Not for the year, but for this week, for Week 1, it's too risky. I'm sitting T.Y. Hilton. Okay, so those were a few of my start sits here for Week 1, and I know some of those names may be a little surprising. If you drafted Mike Evans or T.Y. Hilton, you were probably planning on using them, especially here in Week 1. Sometimes you got to make bold moves, though, in order to win each and every week. These guys are no different. Hey, really appreciate the support. Channel's still growing like crazy. We're one of the top fantasy football channels on YouTube now, and that's all because of you guys. Really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys are still commenting, liking, subscribing, all that good stuff. I look forward to hearing from you, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.